Previously on Real Men, Real Talk Live, in that moment, as you navigated through that experience with this individual, at any point were you able to tap into gratitude for having this new clarity and realizing that it was your, let's say, your wounded inner child that was setting you up for this confrontation?
What I was in gratitude for was my therapist, Ron.
He's described him as one of the most dangerous men on the face of the earth.
I am the host of the show. My name is Jay Rothman. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Again, my name is Jay. I am the host of the show. I am excited to introduce my co-host this evening, Jeff Fasano, coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome back, Jeff.
Thank you, Jay. So wonderful to be here. Ready to take another deep dive.
We have Jay Ritty, a.k.a. Josh Richer. He calls, well, pretty soon, Hollywood, California home. Welcome back, Jay Ritty from Los Angeles area. Welcome home.
Good to see you guys. Can't wait to dive in.
And of course, we have the man of the land from down under. He calls himself the Aboriginal, Evis Love. Welcome back from Australia.
As always, my brothers and sisters, thank you. Looking for some balance tonight.
So episode 146 is the number of this episode this evening. It's going to all be about work-life balance or balancing chaos. And Ev, I'm going to invite you to kick us off, light us up, get us hot, and get us going for tonight's episode about either do we have balance in life or are we balancing chaos? What does that mean to you? Since this was a topic that you suggested in a production meeting just a couple of 24 hours ago.
Yeah, my brother. I think it's definitely a topic. We should be revisiting certain times of the year. And as we come, can you believe we're coming into Easter, brothers and sisters? We're nearly getting into the halfway mark of the year. And many of us, we say, where does that time go? For me, when I visit this topic, not only in my own life, but with those people that I serve on their journey, there are many people that still say they're in a place of work, their career, that, they're spending the majority of their time. They tend to spend a lot of that time and that precious, let's say, effort, energy, mind space, with really that professional side of who they are, and they forget about a lot of that personal side. Now, one thing for me, I've been very fortunate to be able to create a timeline within my life that I now flow through within life where I can create a certain balance within my life that allows me to flow in things that I enjoy doing outside of serving others. So things that you can do for yourself, things that you can do with your family. Some of these things many people are neglecting within their life right now on this planet. I was reading something really, really crazy the other day, and across there on the other side of the pond, they're actually saying that 1 in 4 people are experiencing some sort of work-related stress within their life, and some crazy percentage of 70-odd% aren't even enjoying the place of work. So for me, with a lot of the people that I'm serving now, creating this idea, or I'm going to call it tonight, a program of what we're knowing as work-life balance, I want to be able to help you with certain strategies that allow you to really navigate into your life that attach to your story, to your truth, to your talents, gifts, and capabilities, to not only allow you to flow within the professional side of life, but to be able to enjoy some of these things within your personal and private side. So I'm looking forward to diving in. And for me, it's really not really talking about work-life balance, but how do we live a well-balanced life? So I'm looking forward to diving in with my brothers. What do you reckon?
Damn, man, keep talking, man. What are they? What can we do? You got me hooked. I'm gonna grab my notepad. What what do we got? What can we do, Ev?
Before we get into those tips and tools, I'm really interested in what my brothers have to say about work-life balance, because like I said, it has been a program. And I think in my hemisphere, in what I call my tremendous sphere that I live now today, I like to think of it, more like I said, trying to just live a balanced life. And I don't know why we ever attach this idea of work being the same a part of life to balance. Work is a part of life, but it is not life. And so many people, as we know, are really living to work.
Well, how
It's why I quit my job 23 years ago. You know,
I did.
Really, I don't even call what I do work, because it's all fun. You know, when I'm quote unquote working, I want to. I guess it all comes back to, like, what are you enjoying your life? You know?
Well, even so, Jeff, even if you're enjoying the work you're doing, I know many people, they're passionate about it, but that's all that is the foundation of living. They don't take the time to play. They don't take the time to really just be present without it going.
I'll raise my hand on that one.
Yeah, really. Thanks for that, Jay. Yeah, definitely. I remember way back when, God, how my art and my work became my identity. Whoa. You just, and really, and it became such an identity that if I showed somebody an image or a print and maybe they didn't like it, I took it personally. Like it hit me on such a level, like, oh, wow, I mean, you don't like me? It got to that place for me, and it gets to that place for many artists, where you get so enmeshed in what you're doing because it's coming from your heart. You're saying something to the world. You're bringing something to the world. And then if somebody says, nah, I'm not really crazy about that, it kind of crushes you inside. And then that's when you get enmeshed in the work, as opposed to the fun and the joy of what you're doing it, and trying not to take it personally. I have since worked on that, and I don't anymore. But many people, Bruce Springsteen was like that.
Jeff, I want to take a moment here, since we're talking about work and passion and where you were and where you are right here, right now in this moment. I'd like for you to grab a binder that may be nearby. And I want to invite you to kind of share, being that we're there, we're talking about life balance and work balance. I do want to take a moment here just to acknowledge a pretty major milestone for you that just unfolded just a couple of days ago. Actually, it was right before we went into our production meeting. I'd like for you to, if you can, kind of frame us out, share with us real briefly, what are you holding in your lap or near your desk, wherever you're sitting right now? What do you got there? Show us.
Oh, I get it. Well, it's behind me, so I'm going to have to go out of the frame and come back.
It's okay.
All right. I'll take a quick poll. While you do that. So out of the four of us men, how many of us heard growing up phrases like work hard, play hard, rise and grind, grind it out, get through it? How many of the four of us? I'd like to see a showing of hands, and we'll let our folks on Spotify know how many of us heard those stories and believed them. I believed it.
Oh,
Was it all of us? all four.
yeah. I mean, it's work, and then find some play. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
the other part of it too is that at least the culture I grew up in, you know, your parents got 1 week's of vacation, 2 weeks if they're lucky,
True.
and that was really the playtime. But I just had a memory just flood me right now. Whew. I do remember before we moved out into the country, we lived in a city. My parents went to a swim club
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in Queens, New York. And for me, that was, and it was only for a short window of my childhood because we left the city. So I was up until second grade. But I remember that wasn't a vacation. That was every time my parents would take us to the swim club. That was playtime.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized like how important that was for us as children. But yet somehow we turn on a different address on our GPS system when we become adults. And we forget how to play, what it can feel like, what it can look like, what it could even sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so that's why it really is. This is such a great topic, and what you just mentioned, Josh, is powerful. I'll raise my hand and say, for me, it wasn't so much. I don't think I heard that in my home. Those phrases that you shared, but for me, it was that I really didn't have a healthy self identity when I became a young adult. And for me, my identity was putting on that power suit, the suit and tie, and making sure those shoes are polished and looking good. And for me, that became my identity. And so therefore, it was all about work. It was all about creating. And through creating, ultimately, I created a lot of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm.
So what do you got there, Mr. Fasano? What do you want to show us tonight?
You get it right in the frame.
So excited for you, Jeff.
That's my book.
Nice.
My book is here. It has arrived. It will officially be at a bookstore near you, April 15th, Americana Portrait Sessions, published by Vanderbilt University Press. Yeah, I got it. Not too long before our production meeting. It's very emotional for me to hold it, to look through it. Yeah.
Why is
And
that? What is that? Go ahead, Josh.
I was just gonna say, and for the folks who haven't heard maybe episodes past that don't know Jeff's history, Jeff was in the corporate world, left to pursue his passion of photography, and today he's holding this book, which is the body of his passion's work, working with famous people all around, photographing famous people and musicians all around the world. So, I mean, Jeff, that's massive to turn your pain in corporate into your passion, and now today holding this amazing body of work that you've done.
Yeah, that's why I get emotional when I think about it. I think about those days, 18 years, wearing a suit and tie every day to work, and sitting in an office or a cubicle and doing all of that stuff, and then realizing that I had, that part of my life was over, but to follow this. And that's a big part of this, the book. The book is not just about my photographs. It's about my story, that if I can change my life like I did, then anybody can. It wasn't about, it was photography, but it was about the new life that I wanted to create for myself, because I really wasn't living the life that I wanted to live. I was living under what I learned from Dad, and doing that, getting, I've told this story many times on this show, getting the steady salary, getting your pension, getting your 401k, getting benefits, health insurance. And when you have that, you're safe and secure. And I had all of that. And then I just realized I was miserable and decided to do this. And that's part of what this book's about. It's also about just to, that story's in the book. And to help people who are in that place of they're not enjoying their life, they're not enjoying their job or their work. And you can do it. You can shift your life. You can make things. It's not just the dream. It's about showing up for yourself in the dream.
And do you recall clearly how scary that was back then, Jeff? Was it scary for you?
No. No, there was a knowing inside of me that this is what I needed to do. Now, I wasn't studying metaphysics at the time. This was 1999. So, but there was a knowing inside of me. I knew. What I knew is that my old life was over. That part of my life was over. That chapter, that episode of my life was over. And it's time to move to the new chapter, episode, and write a new book. And that's what I've been doing for 20-something years.
And you wrote the book. I'm curious, is there any one or two particular photo shoots that were captured in the book that you'd like to show us or tell us something about real briefly?
Oh, wow. There were so many.
I know. Pick out let's say the one that would be one of your top.
Here we go. Can you see that? When I did a photo shoot for Guitar Aficionado magazine with Vince Gill in his home. So here's a wonderful thing about that and about that situation. Now, he doesn't like to have his photograph taken. He's whatever is going on within him, he just does not like it. And we wound up having a blast together. And then he thanked me at the end of the photo shoot for making it comfortable and easy and not making it about me. I made it all about him and the fact that he didn't like doing it. That's why we do this work. That's part of the reason why we do the inner work, because then we learn how we can be in a situation with someone, know that we possibly have been there, but we have these tools that we could transfer to others, even in a situation like that, that will put another person at ease, will make them comfortable, will make them feel easier. And I did it in a various different ways. And that's what was significant about that shoot.
Ev, I want to invite you. By the way, Jeff, thank you for sharing all that. And
Huge congrats, man.
I don't know about Ev,
beautiful story, brother.
Josh, but I'll just speak for myself. It's been an honor. I mean, you and I know each other. I think we were introduced back in 2019 or so, somewhere around there. It's at least 3 or 4 years, and it's been such a beautiful journey to hold this space with you and to witness you going through the ebbs and flows of life, the balancing act of the emotional, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual act within. And then for you to now hit this pinnacle in your career, it's such a beautiful gift. Evis, I want to invite you to kind of you've been such a good active listener in this moment, but I'm curious, what do you make of what Jeff just shared, and how does this weave into the work-life balance or balancing chaos?
I think what's so beautiful with Jeff sharing his story is you start to see the difference, and you just think about some of those programs while we go into the workplace. I mean, the one that always plays in the back of my mind that I still hear is, how are you going to make money? That was a program that was a vicious program growing up through all childhood, even into the later teens, later years. You still hear it. And I think with that vicious program as an end goal, or as an end intention, it really keeps people into things that they may not enjoy doing within their life. And when you listen to Jeff's story and, you listen to our story, each of us, we've been able to share our stories on how we've been able to come into what we currently do today. We're aligned to what I would say in my culture, which is what we call our dreaming path. Jeff said it beautifully. Not only are you dreaming, but you are acting within the dream itself. So you're aligned to something that's so much more deeper, that really was a part of who you were before you were coming down here to have this human experience. Things for me in my personal life, when I've been able to, work more in a flow and be able to flow within it, as opposed to try and force some of those intentions and goals that I wanted to see within the so-called workspace, there were little nudges around me. Like I go back a few moons ago in the early days, and, I was in the retail business, and, that was working to make a living. Now, I loved making the connections. I loved the stepping stones of what that was giving me. But on a heart space, it just didn't feel like that it was my true self. It didn't feel like that it was going to be my dreaming path that I'm talking about. So then I started to become more self-aware within my life. And this is really key, brothers and sisters, because if there's a tool you can walk away with tonight, you need to really drop into being able to practice self-awareness. Why? Because self-awareness allows you to take daily auditory. It allows you to have a look at your current roadmap, where you've come from, where you hopefully plan to go, and where you're currently at. And it also allows you for these nudges that I was getting at that stage, where people would come into the shop and they say, wow, man, look at you. You look after yourself. Why don't you do that for other people? And I was like, why don't I help other people get into the best shape of their life? And it was from that point that I threw myself straight into school to get the certificates. As we all know, we've got to do some certain parts to get into certain areas within the life. And then it was from that state that I started to help people. Go over 2 decades now, and I'm still in that flow, helping people worldwide to become the best possible version of themselves. Now, the other part of that, I did not only box myself into that particular gift, that gift of being able to be a service to others. My other gift was obviously in the creative space as well. So obviously we fast forward and we think even in just today's time, these reels, as Jay's mentioned, I've been able to now use my creative spark to flow within that. And what I find, not only am I well paid for it, which is in effect, it is not the goal, or it is not the vision or the purpose of why I'm doing this. And this is what I'm coming down to, my brothers and sisters. You have got to have a clear vision and purpose to make meaning within your life rather than chasing the dollar. And that is a big thing that's currently happening on this planet, my brothers and sisters, and why people fall into so much work-related stress is because they take too much on board. Whereas when you are flowing within your life and you are trusting in the process, you will be handsomely be able to flow within it with abundance, with the prosperity that we talk about on this show time and time after again, and then working out the difference of what that is to working for money. So yeah, there's a little bit of deep one.
Yeah, and here's where I'm going to push back, and I'm going to challenge a little bit here, because you make it sound so delicious, Ev. You make it sound like I want to have a bite of it, right? But here's the truth. When you started out by sharing that, can you make money doing it? That's the programming that we get. We get it at school. We get it at home. We even hear it on a playground, perhaps. My point being is that until we've done, I believe, some healthy inner healing work to cut the cords to the programming that we've received from our ancestors, perhaps, or even at school or at church, we're in a conflict around that. The inner conflict is will I not be enough? Well, am I worthy? Do I matter? So it's not just, having the courage to step into it. It's how do we dissolve all of these programming and these one-liners that we've been holding on to from the time we were born, and we heard it all through our childhood, and even going to university or not going to university, so on and so forth. How many of us have a vision of what we think we want to do, but what's holding us back is the tapes that's been playing, the recording that's been playing over and over and over in our mind and even at the soul level.
Yeah. I think, Ev, it was beautiful what you said. And Jay, dovetailing on that perfectly. When Ev says we're not chasing the dollar, one of the programs is I'm going to follow whatever it is, whatever the four of us are doing. Jay, what you're doing is wonderful. Ev, we're all doing stuff that is in our heart, and it's our passion, so to speak. And we know that we need to do it for whatever reason we find as we're doing it. The programming is, it's not about the money, the programming is safety and security. And money plays into that. For me, my programming from Dad was get a job, get benefits, get a 401k, and you'll be safe and secure. That was the programming. That's what he learned, and that's fine. So it's not really about chasing the money. It's about the programming of safety and security. And then as we're out on our own, following our passion, how many people are stuck in that programming? That they have this dream and this passion that's burning inside of them. And because of that programming, the safety and security part, or how am I going to make money doing what I love? Well, you'll find a way, but it's about moving through that programming of that's holding you in place, and even asking yourself, how does that make me feel?
Right. So
I think,
go ahead, Josh. Yeah.
Well, I think what's underneath it all is the why. Are we doing it because of the programming, because of the tape, because of the story? Like Jeff, did you join corporate to make your dad proud that you did get a job? You did create that safety that you thought was so important, but it was important for him. It wasn't your story. It was his.
Yeah.
And when I did everything wrong, I look back at my why at that time, and I was doing it to save others around me. I was doing it to save loved ones. I was doing it because I felt I needed to be the safety, the rock. And so therefore I was making decisions, not for me, but for money, because I believed that the money could save them, and then I could make the money and save them. And whether my belief under that was that I would then be valuable and I would then be loved, that's probably what was underneath, honestly.
Yeah.
Is that if I saved somebody, I'm lovable. And you're right, Jay, the belief around that was that I'm not worthy and I'm not lovable. But when I flipped my why, like Ev was talking, that focus. So my focus at that point was to make money, to save people, to get love. That's that ugly tape that was playing. And I'm not judging it as ugly. It just was that negative tape. I wasn't making choices from the right place.
How'd you break free of it, Josh?
Oh God, that's a whole episode in itself. But what I can real quick share is that when I did flip my why to God, I haven't been called on to clearly identify the why. The why is because now I enjoy championing that amazing person that's inside each of us, that unique soul that's inside of you that is dying to come out. I love supporting that, loving that, championing that. And my why is living through example or firing you up or whatever to help encourage that amazing soul inside of you to come out. And that's my biggest passion in life now. And I've done it through my book and courses and through the work here with you 4 beautiful men. And so when I follow that why, there's not thoughts of money at the end of that. I do it because I love it. You guys do this because you love it, because we all have a similar why right now. And we show up, and I've never been more supported in my life when I flipped my focus from being loved to being passion-filled and living my passion-filled life. Money has shown up out of nowhere in many cases. And so, yeah, that's my thought around money and what Ev and Jay and Jeff, you guys were beautifully tying together. And I just wanted to close the loop with the why. Really look inside yourself and ask, the job you may be doing right now that you hate, why are you there? And is it for you? And
yeah.
And sometimes those answers might be hard to look at. And I get that. But then ask yourself, like Ev always says in every episode, get focused on what it is you do want to do and your positive why, and then start from there.
And I'm going to dovetail on that, my brother. You said it perfectly at the end there as well. Because when we start to understand that why for ourselves, what happens is a lot of people, they actually start ruminating on why within their life. So sometimes they can actually start telling stories of themselves from the past of why they were doing something. And, you know, the ego mind can take you on a lonely path of judgment and, you know, a bit of shame or guilt that you may have wasted time. But on the other side of why, for me, was the what. And with what I wanted within my life was just fulfillment. I just wanted inner peace.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to do something within my life and be in that flow without forcing outcomes for other people, places, and things that weren't attached or aligned to my true heart's value. So with that what, it allows us to be more proactive with our behavior and our actions. Whereas when we're, like I said, we're in the why, we constantly can be thinking in the past and we can become stagnant. And so with that what, once we're able to really start to identify that what within our life, mine was inner peace, and that self-reflection and this introspection that I'm talking about to gain this self-awareness within my life, gain me that path to that inner peace that I currently live today.
Let me ask this question of all three of you. Curious. What role does faith and trust, what role has that played in each of your paths? Because we don't really talk about faith or religion or spirituality. There's a spiritual undertow within our show. But I'm curious, has this all been man-made, or how much have you leaned into a power greater than yourself? Could be the universe, God, divine source. Has it played a role?
Oh, for me, yes. It's like I said, I had, when Josh asked me the question, was I frightened? I said, no, I had an inner knowing. It was an inner knowing within my soul that was part of my soul plan. I'll share it this way, and you could take it for what it's worth. I truly feel that we are living a soul plan, something that is greater than us. And what was happening with me was I was miserable. And now that I look back on it, I was coming to the end of that episode or that part of my life.
Beautiful.
Back then. And it came to an end. And then I was beginning the next part of my life, the next chapter, the next episode.
Wow.
And that's what it was for me. It wasn't about quitting the job. It was about going to that end of that part of my life and then creating an entire new part of my life. Doing it as I started studying metaphysics and moving deeper within myself, I fully feel, it's not even I believe, I know that when we are following and living from that soul perspective, like this is what I need to do. I don't know why I just need to do this. I loved what Josh said about, following our own new story. When you feel that feeling inside of me was, oh, I can't wait. This is going to be fantastic. And we're living, and then we're in that flow of life. We're in that higher resonance of living from our soul perspective and what we're here to do, as Ev said, the what. Then all of a sudden the universe has a funny way of conspiring to match that.
You think?
Well,
you know what? Hey, Jeff, I'm teasing you. This is what, yeah. This is an Ev moment for the next clip. I'm in total alignment with everything you shared. You just described my life, except you had your awakening when you were about 38, 39 years old.
30.
And it wasn't because you were minutes or hours from death. You see, we all have a different path in how we get here. You had an awakening that was, I believe, part of a gift that came from a girlfriend that you were dating at the time that kind of gave you some clarity in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was a different path. I literally had to play so hard and for so long in corporate America and live a lifestyle that was killing me. So we all have a different path. But I could tell you this, Jeff. When I woke up in that hospital, I knew that my life was changed forever.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard me say it. I knew the man I had become, and I hated myself. But I had no idea who I was because I sold out. I was a sellout. I sold out to make the money. And I made it. But it nearly killed me. My lifestyle, everything there was no balance in my life. And when I came out of that hospital and I started my healing journey, it was an absolute knowing that at some point I was going to do what Ev said earlier in tonight's episode, get that certificate to give me the confidence, initial confidence, to pivot, to make that change, and tap into a part of myself that I think each one of you didn't, maybe at some point was not even aware that was just a natural abilities and talents, which is creativity. You see, I spent my whole career creating design, restaurant interiors, thousands of them. I had no idea that there was a much deeper, profound way to share my creativity. And that's with guiding people to connect back at their own soul level, to heal their pain, their sorrows. And so it's been an absolute beautiful journey for me to do the work I do today, still tapping into a creative at a much more profound, deeper level than just working with colors and layouts for interior spaces. Now I'm basically, my role today is to guide people to tap into the color that became so dark within their soul. For them to turn on that light, to see the light, to see how much light they actually have within. What a gift. What a gift I get to receive by just witnessing this transformation that unfolds. We all have this inner capacity. We all are created, I believe, equal as far as creativity goes, and learning how to tap into our true essence of our passion. And when we don't, and we don't experience that in this lifetime, we've missed out on the precious gift of why we were born, I believe, today. I had a beautiful day. I just want to share real quick. I had a beautiful opportunity to spend some time just a couple of days ago with a very, very talented, established professional musician. And we had lunch together before he went on stage in front of, I think, 7,000 people or something like that. Small outdoor audience in Phoenix.
7,000 is small?
Yeah. And I asked him, well, because it wasn't a stadium, it was an outdoor. And I asked him, I wanted to understand more about when he's on stage, what does it feel like? Is he there? Is he just like a drummer? Or is it more deep and profound? And I was so glad to hear what I heard from that beautiful man. I asked him, when you're done off stage, what's your energy level like? How do you feel physically, emotionally, spiritually? And he said to me, he said, on one level, I'm buzzing, but on the other level, I am wiped out because I give it my all.
Mm-hmm.
I put my body, I put sweat, and I put my soul into the experience when I'm on stage, because I am the heartbeat of the song. I'm the drummer. Beautiful man. Beautiful experience. Eric Valentine, check him out on YouTube. But in any event, Josh, you were going to say, I want to bring it back to you guys.
Beautiful, brother.
Beautiful, Jay. Thank you for that deep share and for being vulnerable. And I know that moment, how much it meant to you. And when I was inspired in that moment, and Jeff's story and Ev's story, and I had it too, the pivot, right? When we all pivoted from the grind, balancing our chaos, into a life of balance, passion, and fulfillment. And this is what I think exactly what you were talking about, Jay, when you asked us what a role that faith, trust, and surrender play, was that when we pivoted, I can only speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer, guys. We all had no clue what the pivot would look like or turn into. And we all had to let go of control, which was a major thing in my life beforehand. I was trying to control my chaos. And Jay, you so beautifully brought this up because, yes, that is where trust and surrender. I'm not a big F word fan as much, but I'll pivot my words into trust and surrender. Letting go of that control for me was really hard. And it's the how, right? How is this going to look? How is this going to work? How that controlling mind that wants to know all the hows, you have to let it go. And you have to drop into some level of trust and surrender that if you just keep going and following your passion, your heart, that those beautiful, unique gifts and abilities that Jeff always talks about, that you follow that and you don't need to know the how. It's okay not to know the how. And that was the scariest part for me, was moving forward without a how. I'm a planner. I like that stuff. I'm a details guy. And that's what was hardest for me, but it was also the most fulfilling because then I could just be in the experience, not having to trying to control it all. I could enjoy it more. I could feel it, be in it fully, and just trust that if I keep moving forward, it's going to turn into something like Jeff's beautiful, amazing body of work that he's able to hold in his hand now. You didn't know it was going to turn into that. You didn't know the how to get there. Right?
Yeah. Well, one of the things you say, and I just wanted to, I think trust and faith are similar. It's all about semantics. Trust, I trust the path. It's about following the path of life and just showing up. It's most important in life. I think it's 50% faith and 50% us showing up.
I'd agree with that for sure.
We have to show up. We have to meet the universe halfway. It's a 50-50 deal. We've got to walk that pathway and show up where we need to show up on that pathway in life. And then when the doors of opportunity or the doors on the pathway open, you say yes and you can follow it. And that's how you do it. It's that. And it's just in trusting in ourselves. Once again, our talents, gifts, abilities, and the choices that we're making. We're trusting ourselves, but we're also trusting in the universe, that the universe is going to open doors on our pathway for us. I have many stories of that happening. This book, just a year ago, how that door opened for me, and this publisher popped in and said, "We want to publish your book." I had set that intention that the right and perfect publisher who gets it, who understands my work, who sees it, who knows it, will be on board. And it happened. And it happened very easily. And that was because we just show up on the path. But we have this faith in ourselves, this trust in ourselves, and trust in the universe, that the universe is going to meet us halfway.
Beautiful, brother. 100%, man. 100%. Yep. And that's my take on faith too. You know, it's really understanding and understanding that, you know, we are part of a bigger plan, and that trust allows you to not only have trust in the process, it allows you to cultivate self-trust, which gives you more confidence, which gives you, you know, that willpower to be able to set out and maybe achieve or, you know, aim to hit a couple of so-called goals and intentions within your life. You know, one thing I don't think we've addressed tonight for our brothers and sisters out there is really important. I think we should address and acknowledge our brothers and sisters that have got big families. You know, they probably live in a state where, yes, they are just living to work to put a house over their family's head and, you know, to so-called pay the bills. So I think for those brothers and sisters that may be listening, it's more so how can we cultivate this balance within your life to be able to regulate and manage that throughout your day. Now, for me, when I, you know, help brothers and sisters on this part and this journey of their life, I'm always asking, do you have sufficient amount of income, money coming in that meets the basic needs? See, we strayed off that path a long time ago. And many of us, we keep chasing and chasing because we're trying to fulfill an idea that, like we've talked about tonight, may not have necessarily been our own. So do you have sufficient income coming in to meet that basic house, the shelter, the food, the water, the clothing for your family? Asking yourself questions like, how is your personal life and your social life? We are social creatures. I've got to put my hand up here too, man. I've got to pinch myself to make sure that I get out into community face to face and with some brothers and sisters and just have that social life as well. And that way we're able to, like I mentioned, be able to go back into the workspace, so-called workspace, and be even more productive because we've been able to cultivate some of that social life within our space as well. Now, one thing for me too, with that peace side of things, and we're talking about faith, within our lives, are you spiritually fulfilled, brothers and sisters? I'm not talking about, being a monk, going up on the mountaintop, getting into the Zen mode and all of that. That may be your vibe. That's cool. But what I'm talking about is you being able to go into these peaceful spaces like many of us do. I call it going out on country. Jay takes his walk, hike and hill out in nature. Are you able to fulfill that spiritual need of yourself? Are you able to be in that time of solitude and be in that alone space to be able to cultivate this part of yourself that at a spirit level, you need to be fulfilling just as much as you do, which gets onto my last point about your physical health. So when we're able to cultivate that side of ourselves, it naturally goes onto the physical space. I've heard this beautiful story, Jay's story, and we really don't want you to have to get to that space, my brothers and sisters. But many people in their workspace, because they aren't balanced, are finding themselves in these particular predicaments. The heart diseases and et cetera is at a high level. So how is your health? Is your life limiting, or are you feeling unlimited because of your health? When we look after this physical body, my brothers and sisters, and on that energetic level that I'm talking about on the spiritual level, you'll be able to pick your own adventure with clarity, with grounding, and with confidence. So yeah, there's just a few things for those brothers and sisters, and being able to really cultivate and tie that all in with mindfulness and meditation, as we always talk about, is also important for keeping this balance within our life. I could keep going on, man.
Well, there ain't no stopping us. There ain't no stopping us now. We could go into a tune right here for you, Ev. Wow.
This will be my final comments, and my final tip is I'm gonna dovetail off of Ev. When you are stuck in that job and it is a means to an end, but you're miserable and it's hard. And I was stuck at a TV show where my boss was screaming at me on the weekly multiple times. It was one of the more toxic work situations I've ever been in. But I did need to complete the project, and I was in essence stuck for another couple months. And I saw that I was heading downhill. Stress, worry. I was bringing these things home. It was entering into my mind. I was dreading driving to work. So a pivot that I did within that was I did a mini why change. The job wasn't part of my why, but I flipped the why within the job. Instead of it just being the means to an end for some money and to finish this project, I decided to show up, and I wanted to learn something new about the crew members every day. And I showed up and I asked questions. And I talked to people I would never normally talk to. I've done this for 20 years, and I talk to departments I never talk to because I never have to. But I ask questions. How's your life? What are you passionate about? What do you do after work? Oh, wow, that's really cool. And these were some of the most fulfilling months in 20 years on this job I hated, because I did a mini flip of my why just to get through it. And I went home happier. I drove to work excited to meet somebody new the next day and find out a new story. And I had deeper connections than I've ever had in 20 years of my career. So we can take control even in the moments that we do feel stuck and that are a means to an end and we have to stick it out. We also have control in those moments too. And not the control that I was talking about earlier of having to force control, but our control to flip what that experience is about.
Wow. Hey guys, is that not unbelievable what Josh just shared?
Magic, pure magic.
There's no, Av, you got it. That is beyond almost comprehensible. It's so brilliant that somehow you had this epiphany, this awareness that just by shifting your relationship, instead of just living in a dense, dark, unhappy place that you were committed to, you pivoted. You did an absolute pivot. And what you did is you actually showed up. You connected.
It was a bit.
Where did that come from? Where'd you come up with that? Where'd that come from?
I mean, I did so much study of the brain and reframing, and I was driving to work miserable, and I'm like, how can I reframe this whole experience that I hate? That was dragging me down. I was taking it home, and I'm usually a happy-go-lucky person, and I was starting to get further down the negativity path. And I said, what do I have control over? My mission, why I'm doing this. When it was about money, I continued to stay miserable. So I had to change the why.
So I'm curious, at the end of your contract, and with this change in your relationship with the people that you worked with, were you sad for it to end at the end because of that shift?
I was. I made some really fun connections, and I had conversations I never in 20 years would have. We always kept it professional, and I decided to blur the lines. I was like, you know what? Let's be people. And I had some of the more amazing connections in 20 years of dealing with the same type of people on different shows. So
what do you make of that, Jeff Fasano? Does that resonate with you? Have you had that opportunity to turn a narrative within your own mind, your own experience? Or did you just change the lens on the camera and you were good to go?
Good one.
Thank you.
As a photographer, I've had some funky situations. Okay.
That was a stall. That was a Fasano stall right there.
This is well, I was just thinking back a whole bunch of years ago. I did a photo shoot with an actor, fairly well-known actor, who was on a major television show at the time. And when he walked in to the location we were shooting at, he just said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I shook his hand and all that good stuff. He said, "I just want to let you know I hate doing photo shoots."
That was your opener?
That was the opener. So I could have went, "Oh, wow, this is going to suck." Oh, man. I took it as a challenge, and I said, this dude's going to love it at the end of this photo shoot. And we just made it fun. The funny part of it is that, and here's the spiritual aspect of this. My makeup artist, my friend Maria, heard that. She was standing next to me. She goes, and I walked away, and she just looked. She goes, "Oh my God!" Oh, we had done a photo shoot the previous day with Taraji Henson, and she was a joy. And you could love her, and we had love, and love was flowing. And this guy walks in and says that. And I said, "Maria, it's easy to love the people who are easy to love. What we're here to do is to love those where it's a challenge for love. So what we're going to do, you and I, is we're going to love on this guy for the entire 4 hours that we're shooting." That's what we did.
And how did it? Did he have any comments at the end, or did he ever get back to you with any?
Okay, put it this way. He was so uptight. So what I did, this is in LA. So what I did is I said, you know what I'm going to do? Hey, first of all, he's an actor. So he's an entertainer. And he wants to be in front of people. So I brought him to Venice Beach.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
I brought him to and I knew a spot, and he was there, and people were recognizing him. And when the people would recognize him, he would go, "Whoa!" And then those are the moments I captured. And we were doing this for a magazine. We had clothes. We had a designer, a major designer.
You dragged the whole crew to Venice?
Got in our cars, went to Venice, and then we went over to Marina del Rey. And so it was all in front of people, to the point that when we got back to the original location, and he was going, "Whoa, that was a blast. That was," and then I said, "Okay, well, you do this for me. Last setup. We're going to put this suit on, but I want you to do it barefoot on the beach." And he was so psyched to do it. But what we did, we just loved on him. It's easy to love the people who are easy to love. It's a challenge to love the people who it's a challenge to love. And when I said it to Maria, she got it. I went, yeah, yesterday was easy. Today it's going to be a little challenging, but it's still going to be easy. And we did it. And he had a blast at the end, just like Vince Gill at the end of the shoot. He's like, "Whoa, man, that was easy. That flowed." I go, "Yeah, it did." We have to put our spiritual tools into practice in those situations like Josh did.
So what I just heard you say, Jeff, and I'm going to paraphrase you, is you helped him get out of his head and get into his heart.
Yep.
He was in his head. He didn't want to just, be in front of the camera. But as soon as he was in an environment, Venice Beach has got a lot of energy there. And Marina del Rey, those are two great spots in Southern California. I spent a lot of time there. But what you did was you had the creative within you to know that it wasn't going to work in a studio setup. He needed to be out in flow, where he get out of his head, and just between taking his shoes off, grounding is just a beautiful way, another way to kind of open people's heart up.
Yeah.
That's why I love the work I do with the clients, getting them out of the office, to get them into nature, get them into the wilderness. And that's truly where the magic unfolds. We're so busy trying to build these homes, these big structures, for what? To put fake lighting in. When we have all this beautiful natural lighting from the earth. And then we can get out of our head and get into our heart and just be. What a story, Jeff.
That's why the two of you men are so beautiful, because you know what? You are both gifted at breaking people's patterns. That's what I heard in both of those stories, is that they were stuck in their patterns, and you both intentionally, knowing how, broke them from that and got them back into their joy space.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it was, just one quick thing, is that I didn't know what I was going to do. What I did is I walked in. These are the wonderful, when you're in a certain space, you find an empty space. That's why they created bathrooms. I walked into the bathroom. I sat on the floor. I closed my eyes, went into meditation. I said, wow. Universe, keep me open to show me how we can love him, open his heart, and allow this to flow and make this an enjoyable, I didn't know, experience. I didn't know what I was going to do. And they just things that you stay open, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 it started to come. And I went, okay, let's do it. Hey, folks, we're going to go this. And everybody looked at me. We had racks of clothes.
Venice is not easy to shoot in. Parking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, that was a
But he
massive
trusted.
undertaking.
But right in that moment, he had a knowing, and he trusted it. So what beautiful story. This is why, I fall in love with you, man, each week. It's almost as like it's the first date. It's like you go in with all these anticipations, this excitement. But what we do is before we come in live, what our viewers don't know is we're backstage, we're in our studios, and we connect, we talk, and then before we go in, one of us leads us in a meditation. And then we set the intention for the show. And then we go live. I had absolutely no idea what tonight's show was going to go. I don't even know if we covered the topic. Work-life balance or balancing chaos. And this is a topic that you brought into us this week. And what I want to do is I want to invite you to kind of put a pretty bow in a show and call it a wrap. Why don't you take us out with maybe some words of inspiration, a few tips, tricks, and tools for someone that is trying to create work-life balance. I do believe that we weave that in. Really what this show is about is it really truly is about tapping in to find your passion and let that be your path. Because when you're following your passion, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like it's the greatest gift we get. And I know that we're there right now. I feel that with each one of us. And that's the greatest gift we get. We get the gift of balancing it. But we're our mentors, meaning people are paying attention to how we are showing up in the work we do. Each one of us has a responsibility to the people that work with us. And so, Ev, what do you make of tonight's episode? And
damn, what a show!
Bring us home, Ev.
Take us home, man.
What a show, brothers. Yeah, man. I'm just going to dovetail on the back of all the beautiful things we've mentioned tonight. And look, a lot of the work that I do now, it's all wrapped around in this well-being. And I know many of us, like we put a lot of time, energy, effort into our craft. Whether you guys out there still calling it work, some of us are being able to be aligned with that beautiful passion through our heart space, as we call our soul plan, or in my culture, we call it the dreaming path. One thing I want to really tap on, and we do really talk about coming from heart space, what we've got to really take into mind is becoming the master of the mind. Now, we tend to pay a lot of attention, on this physical side of aspect of ourselves, but we take the mind for granted. And what we really look at, this reality that we're living in, whether it's something that is balanced within our life, that is giving us that harmony, joy, and peace, or whether it's something that is in chaos, we've got to really take that ownership and responsibility and understand that we are creating it from that mind space. Being that master of your mind, for me, it allows you to be in that space of peace. It allows you to be in that place of balance. But for me, when I've seen a lot of people that don't have this work or life balance within their life, one thing in the workshop that I really do see a common pattern, they aren't expressing or observing their own needs. And I'll say that again, it's simple, but we work past it. They're not expressing or they're not observing their own needs. They're neglecting this part of their life, and it's playing a huge, huge role within their well-being. So ask yourself the question, what are some of those needs within my life that are being unmet? Do what you got to do. Is it a score of 1 to 10, whatever it may be? But when you're able to balance out this side of your life, being able to express some of those needs within, and not, like I said earlier, some of those basic things, then, my brothers and sisters, you're going to be allowed to meet certain energetic levels within your life that give you this harmony, not only in your private, your personal, but also in your so-called professional career. And to me, my brothers and sisters, that is when you truly start to align to your values your principles and your purpose, or this soul plan that we're talking about tonight.
F. Damn.
On that note.
That was the hardest one for me to get, Ev, was that it was okay to have needs. And to look at them and to say, I am worthy of this. Those were a few of the hardest things ever.
Big part of well-being, brother.
Well,
what do you make of this? What do you make of this, Jay Rothman?
You know, there's a part of me. It's kind of like that 5-year-old boy that just doesn't want it to end.
Yep.
You know that little JJ wants to keep going for another hour. It's like we could do a marathon and still we could still want to fill more up. And that's why this is a beautiful program that we have. We have no idea. We set the topic, but we really have no idea where it's going to go. But what we do is we just trust that we're going to show up. We're going to speak from our heart. We're going to speak our truth. We're going to show up as real men, feeling safe to express vulnerability, to celebrate our wins with humility, and to be real. And with that, I love you guys. Peace and blessings. Thanks for joining us tonight. Come on, guys. And close it out with me. Real men.
Real men. Real talk.
Wow.
Wow.